After over a year and a half of delays, Houston's former director of city council was finally sentenced. William Paul Thomas has been sentenced to 12 months and 1 day in federal prison. Thomas was convicted of conspiracy tied to cash bribes in the summer of 2022.
It has been a long path to justice, but KPRC2 investigator Mario Diaz remembers every moment.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Did you ever receive an email for over $500,000? KPRC2 Investigates first introduced you to William Paul Thomas back in February of 2020. At the time, he was the director of Houston City Council Relations. You may recall this story. It was about Thomas and that man right there, Andy Icken, receiving and entertaining a $500,000 email offer, contingent upon former Mayor Sylvester Turner helping close a private land deal involving a local businessman. His name, Jason Yu.
The email, when I saw it yesterday, based on what you presented, the email was inappropriate.
2 years after those comments, in August of 2022, Mayor Sylvester Turner had the following to say about the man who was right over his shoulder, his good friend and member of his inner circle.
I'm surprised about the revelation here because it is out of character.
Turner's shock coming after it was learned that Thomas pleaded guilty for conspiracy tied to cash bribes. Now, you have to remember something. He was initially set to be sentenced in November of 2022, but his sentencing was delayed 8 times until finally going before the judge today. How surprised are you that you're in this situation, William Paul?
I'm not making any comment.
This was Thomas last October after he expressed desires to change his attorney. A week later, Thomas kept his attorney, with the public now picking up the tab. After learning of the change, Thomas drove off in his convertible Porsche. You just went through a financial disclosure form for a new attorney to be financed by the taxpayer, but yet you're getting into a Porsche. What's your message to Houstonians?
I'm just doing, I have the legal right. That's my constitutional right, Mario.
1 month later, KPRC2 Investigates revealed Thomas and Yu owning a Porsche together. Yu is the same man who sent Thomas the $500,000 email. He also is the same man that Thomas worked on behalf of to get hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines dismissed at Bush Intercontinental Airport. But did you know that William Paul Thomas and Jason Yu owned a Porsche together, sir?
No. I did not know, and that's their business.
After exposing the Porsche partnership, Thomas saw more delays until finally there were none. The former City Council Relations Director is going to prison for 1 year and 1 day. The crime, conspiracy tied to bribes, a felony. William Paul, what comment do you have?
Happy Monday.
Now, the U.S. Attorney's Office has been quiet throughout the day regarding this conviction, but in the last hour, the special agent in charge of the FBI's Houston office tells me in a statement, Mr. Thomas took advantage of his public position, and he adds that he undermined the trust of Houstonians in their public officials. Now, Candace and Keith, he did wear a wire. He fully cooperated. The question now is, what will the U.S. Attorney's Office produce, if anything, regarding what was captured on those wires?
Are they insinuating that there might be more to come because he was wearing a wire?
Well, they made it very clear today that he worked with federal investigators. They showed up to his house on November the 2nd of 2020. They said, we need to speak with you. We have this evidence. We have you doing this. He said, I want to cooperate. He began wearing a wire at some point from that point on. Wow. Until, of course, until he left office. That's usually how it works. You don't just wear a wire for a few months and then you let everybody, take it off and say, hey, I'm back and everything's going. You wear it until they tell you you don't wear it anymore.
Right. So this may not be the end of this, Mario. Just to be clear, the sentencing is not connected. Today's sentencing not connected to the Porsche partnership nor that $500,000 email that you reported on 4 years ago tonight.
Not at all. Those are completely separate matters. And those are matters, Keith, that federal prosecutors have told us in the past what's going on here. Those were, according to them, cases that can or should have been made. They weren't. We haven't seen anything. Could that be part of the cooperation process here? We don't know. We really don't know. The feds keep everything very close to the vest. But that Porsche partnership story and that $500,000 email story, those were the stories that Houstonians are all saying, where is everybody? What's going on? This case, it was a bribe on a completely different and separate matter.
All right, we know you'll be following the details, and we'll report it to
will.
you. All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mario.